All right, this is my like 6-7 attempt, and hopefully that things are going to work out. So this is the video for what I posted on X about a week or so ago now, and I haven't been able to follow up because of technical difficulties and camera overheating constantly, not being able to upload to the cloud, and then not being able to edit. So I'm starting all over again. But anyways, so everything started back in June, July of 2017. So I'm just going to give you some basics of what he had shown me back then, so I knew what he told me this time was true and correct. But this is this was from Revelation 22. This was the restored Eden, and this was the beginning of showing the constellations around this here. But he does not want that now. But this was the basics of the beginning of it. Okay, this is the day and evening, and the 24 elders with their crowns, the 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night for a 24 hour. And these are the day and night time clock for the Jewish and the Hebrew hours, their watch times. But this was from 7/9/2017, which it was before he came, before that time. But this is also the 360 day year, but it's God's prophetic calendar. So you've seen that. So there was all kinds of different templates and stuff that I had to do back then, and it's of course all old school stuff. And this was, I threw away the finished product, but I couldn't understand why I would do something like that. But the Lord has shown me that he does not want the constellations, because man has, instead of worshiping him, they have decided to worship the moon and the stars and the sun and all the constellations instead of throughout the millenniums. So, and these were just things that got me to where, how we got to now, because all of what he taught me then and showed me then all now apply. I have this backwards. No, I don't. Okay. But so these were how we got to. So the one that, the finished product back in 2017, what I'm getting ready to show you is not the finished product, but it freaked me out when I saw it. And you're going to understand when you see it, because it has everything to do with what's going on now. Anyways, we're not going to say what it is, but you can kind of see what it wound up showing me as, and that is what's causing problems to our earth and other things going on. But anyways, so that was when I was finished with everything he showed me, and then I transferred it and made one of these, but different, because at that time I did not know about the foundation stones, and I didn't know about the tribes, and there's so much more that he has added to this since that time period. So, but that was the beginning of how we got to where we are now, and why I trust it, because that was 8 years ago, and I didn't trust myself on what I was being given from the Lord, and thought I don't know. Anyways, so this is multiple things, okay? It's all the same, but it's across different portions of the Bible. But what we're going to concentrate now, because as he continues to keep showing me and showing me and showing me, it's too much for me. I'm not a teacher, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a theologian, I'm nobody. I'm just somebody he has chosen to show this to. But of course, it's the revelation of Jesus Christ. It's the Holy of Holies. It's the paradise of God and the end of the book of Revelation. It is Ezekiel's wheel. It's the 360-day prophetic calendar. And everything that's in here, everything is, you will find in the book of Revelation 1 through 22. Okay? God wants me to share this with the world. He's getting ready to come, and he wants all that accept him to be ready, because time is close. I can't tell you how close, but it's close. This is what he's telling me. So what we're going to do is, basically, I had already posted this picture, and the one before, which is the gold, the blue, the purple, and the crimson, and I will show that in a few. But so inside this right here, okay, this is really the temple of God. Okay, this is his temple. This right here is God's time clock, the power and the glory forever and ever, because he made everything. He made the universe, he made the stars, he made the sun, the moon, the earth, all the creatures. He did man. He's been to every single culture throughout their existence on the planet. Every one of them. The Aztecs, the Mayans, the Egyptians, everyone has the same flood stories. They have the basis of all things, and stories have been changed, but everybody, India, this is also what Da Vinci saw, and Da Vinci's man, and why he was seeing moving things and helicopters and propellers, because this is a portal. It is like the whirlwind. It is from Ezekiel and Daniel and Isaiah, and there's so many things, but I just can't. I don't have the capacity. I don't have the capacity to show you everything. But okay, back to this. So this is the temple within. Okay, so the triangle. Okay, you will find that's the throne, like an emerald shape of a crystal. And where did I have that at? Okay, that is going to be in like an emerald, Revelation chapter 4, 3. And throne in heaven, Revelation 4, chapter 4, 2 through 6. The next thing is going to be right here. These are the tent poles, because we are like in the tent, the tabernacle of God. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the tent poles to the tent, the ark of the covered tent. Okay, so tent poles, and you can find the tent poles in Exodus 26:37, that holds the veil to the entrance. Okay, and it's also like a portico. A portico was at Solomon's temple. So you can look that up too. You can look up some of the terms I'm using, so it'll be easier for you to look them up. Okay, Solomon's colonnade. All right, and also it could be Ark of the covered entrance. Okay, so now these right here and here. Yes, this is a clock. This is God's prophetic time clock. Okay, but it also, this is the double-edged sword that we live and die by, which also holds the keys to death and Hades, which is down here, Revelation chapter 1, verse 18, the keys to hell and of death. Okay, and out of the mouth a sharp two-edged sword. So now the next thing we're going to do is the girdle. The girdle right here, this is the girdle, this is the veil. This separates the light from the dark. Okay, and God takes us from dark night into the day, versus what we're living now. We go from midnight and then come into the day. We go from dark to light, but the Lord takes us from darkness into the light. Okay, so also at this is where is the cross that Jesus was on. Okay, this right here, this red line, is the seconds of the clock, which also represent the lamb and the lamb's blood. Now seconds is here, the second hand. Okay, And around here, the seconds, these are the seconds for the second hand, the best that I could show is, to teach. So there's 60 seconds, which there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. So 60 seconds equals 1 minute. 60 seconds equals 1 minute times 60 minutes will give you 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. 3,600 seconds times 40 hours is 144,000 that's sealed and redeemed from the earth. And then what we do is we take 40 hours, we divide it by 24 hours, okay, which means what's going to be redeemed is 1 day, 1.66666666667 of a day. That's 9 sixes, yes. But it's 1/66th of a day that he's going to redeem. So we're going to go back over that in a little while. But also the double-edged sword is also the big hand and the little hand, the double-edged sword of God's time clock, left hand, right hand. And it's also things that we have seen in history in people's hands is the circle and the line, which is the circle, the clock, time, and the rod, reed, ruled by an iron rod reed, which we are ruled by this clock. How we work, everything that we do on this planet is by the clock, man's clock, and we do live and die by time and memoriam. We decay and die by in time. So the next thing is also this girdle, okay, which is the orange one here. This orange band is a girdle, is the veil between night and day. But it also distinguishes between the day and the light, which are the two pillars. The two pillars that divide day and night, but also divide 12 hours and 12 hours. Two pillars, 12 hours day, 12 hours dark, equals 24 hours as time goes by. And also, right here, while I'm showing it to you, Goboteki and Karenteki, the two pillars in the middle, the outside of those pillars as it's showing is the same thing that God showed them back then. He's come to every single culture, belief, all humanity over the millenniums. Okay, so these are the two pillars in the middle that represent the day and the night, and then around it is the calendar, but they're stones like Stonehenge. And also this here is just like what you see with the discs, the sun discs of the Mayan and of the Aztec and the Mesoamericans. And even though in Revelation it says 4 square, but it's really not, it's roundabout. And he says that, but he did that. He hid so much stuff so we would not know until the end of time. And then that's why this is being exposed now and shown to you, because we are near that end time. There will not be, how much longer will he be? It will be soon. I can't say when, but we are in the time period that it talks about over and over and over again in different books of the Bible that we would be in at the time that things are coming. So back here, so we already did the second hands. We did that 12 hours, 12 hours. So when you have 12 and 12, and we do that around, that makes 24 hours, okay? I don't have a 24 on there, but that's also, so the 12 and 12 are the apostles, is the tribes, but then the 24 is the elders around the clock, okay? Because they have crowns, because like 1 through 12, each has a crown and a name for themselves. Everything is a living being to the Lord, okay? So then as we go through 12 and 12, that makes 24. Then 24 hours makes a day. So then we have each 24 hours, we have a day, a day, a day, a day, a day, and a day, which are all, that's represents 7 days. And the 7, that's the 7 churches. That's the 7 churches. That's the Spirit of God. The 7 angels, which are messengers or messages. 7 golden candlesticks. 7 candlesticks. These are the golden candlesticks, which these are the golden candlesticks. Okay. 7 lampstands, 7 stars, 7 lamps of fire, 7 horns, 7 eyes. So they're all representing like the church steeple, the spirits of each day. We have a new day. We have a sun come up. We have the night go. It's consistent in its secular cycles, and I'm finding out that the Bible is multi-layered. Don't think that this takes away from anything that the Bible says, literally and spiritual, but he has dimensions, and he's showing another layer of his dimensions. And then all of this that I'm showing you actually is woven throughout the entire Bible. That's why it's become so overwhelming for me, because I thought I was just producing this rendering for him to show the world and to explain the basics. But then as a Christian, I have to make sure, and I would read to make sure, is this right? Am I hearing him right? Is this true to his word? Where can I find it? I mean, yes, I knew in Revelation 12, the book of Revelation, but what I'm finding out is it's actually interwoven from the beginning throughout the Old Testament, the New Testament. It's everywhere that he has talked about this. So anyways, let's get back to this, because this is overheating all the time, and then I can't get things done. So we've got to move on so I can make sure I show you. So once we have our 7 days, then it continues on, and then we have a week, and then we have a week, and we have a week, and we have a week, which there's 4 weeks broke down on a 360-day prophetic calendar. Look up prophetic calendar on Google, and then you can see how it's actually aligned exactly as this is. It's usually like 28.9 days, but right here, these white dots, okay, these are the 12 pearl gates. Okay, even though that's farther in Revelation, I haven't been able to reference that as of yet, because it's just, there's so much information. But these are a new moon every single month, okay, of a month. All right, and then as we go into each month, we go into, make sure I'm not forgetting anything here. So the crosshairs is the Lamb, where he died on the cross. Jesus, God, Jesus, and the light. Second hand represents also Jesus' blood. We went over that. God, time, and Jesus, Father, time. Okay, and it also shows in multiple places over and over and over and over again. It talks about he was, who is, who was, and will to come, which represents, again, his time clock, the present, the past, and the future. Just as time goes on, the present, the past, and the future. So, and then of course the 12 hours represents tribes, apostles, 24 elders, which the inner circle of the 2 pillars in this area here are the ones white robes and clean and pure. Okay, and then these were some of the great I am, like he says, I am, I am, I am. So you can find a lot of the I am in Exodus 3:14, which is, you always go upon precedence. Anyways, I can't say it, but in the Bible, what we're taught is that we don't just pull a verse and we read it and take it as that. We go back and read the whole full context, but also a lot of everything that we look at usually is the first mention of what it is. So I'm trying to show the basics of the first mentions as what it was meant to be, even though it goes all the way back to the end of the Bible in the 66th book of the Bible. So now I think I went through this already. All right, so now what we're going to go through is the 12 foundation stones, which is here. These are the foundation stones, all right? And that's the 12 tribes. These are the original tribes. He told me to go back to, I believe this was, I think this was in Exodus, where they were talking about the breastplate. That's how I got the stones then, and the tribes, and they have changed, but in the end he's going to restore all the tribes anyway. So this isn't the final version, because when God comes, his temple is going to be slightly different than the one I'm showing you, because when he comes to earth, it will be in the accurate rendition of the real, his real portal, his real holy of holies, the real paradise of God, the kingdom, the New Jerusalem. So, but this is to show everybody he is real now, and for those that have been taught by false teachers and false history, and that he has, been eliminated through multiple levels of him, so that people don't know him and won't know to see him. Just like an analog clock versus a digital clock, because you wouldn't see this when you have 12:35 a.m. or p.m. You won't see how all this relates as time goes by. So the 12 foundation stones, which are the minerals, crystals, gemstones, which is the foundation of the earth also. You can find that in Revelation 21, 12 through 14, and 19 through 20. We also have 12 months, which is also where this is the tree of life. So through the seasons and bearing the 12 fruits, okay? And then of course that's the tree of life that bears its fruits. 12 hours a day, and that's light. 12 hours night, dark, 24 hours. 12 constellations. So this is here and here, because this was supposed to have constellations, but like I said earlier, God said that they're worshiping the constellations and the zodiac and their horoscopes, and that is worship. That's not worshiping the Lord. That's worshiping things and idols that is not him. So the outer court, okay, which is time, and the constellations, that is going to be trampled by the Gentiles. The inner court is where the Jews are supposed to obey his rules and laws, and that's the holy place, and this is a temple, and this is a representation of the Temple Mound in Jerusalem. In fact, the one I have behind you is for them, based on the cardinal directions. So we already went through the churches and the spirits, but it also means the 7 churches is also types of churches, yes, and it also is types of believers. Okay, so then we had the 24 hours elders. Okay, you can find that in Revelation chapter 4:4 and 4:10. Then you have the 7 days, 1 week, 4 weeks, and a month, the prophetic calendar of God. The 6th day of each week of the 4 weeks in each month is the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th of the Creator's calendar. The 360-day prophetic calendar of God is shown in the book of Revelation. Also, here, this is where you can find Revelation 4:3 is the emerald, like an emerald. There's a rainbow around the throne. This is the outer part of the constellation. Okay, this is also Paradise of God. You can find it in Revelation 2:7, but I think it's actually in 21 and 22 also. Throne of Heaven. So then when we get to Revelation 4:6, round about the throne, the 4 beasts. So the 4 beasts that they talk about, like a lion, like a calf, like the face of a man, like a flying eagle. So the lion can be the essence on the outside, the mouth of a lion. You'll see where I changed it up and didn't really realize what I did with the points, but it did look like a mouth of a lion. but that just happened. Okay, the calf, which is a baby bull. Okay, so bullseye. All right, face of a man, the face of a clock, flying eagle. So if you saw the head-on direction of a eagle flapping his wings up and down, it would simulate the same thing as the arms on this clock. And there's the sayings too, that time's flying by, father time, and a bull, a calf. Also, these represent the four seasons. Summer, it's ferocious, hot headed, a difficult. The bullseye for that is spring. It's young, it's tender, it's just born. Everything's being born. The face of a clock, old man winter, that could represent the winter time. The flying eagle also, time is flying by, autumn when it's windy. And then the four living creatures, of course, we have fire, air, water, earth, and with the 6 wings. So the 6 wings is no matter which way direction you go. If we're looking at, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And each thing is a gate. This is, so the living creatures and the angels, so the 4 angels of the 4 corners of the earth is north, south, west, and east. And those angels are the ones with these living creatures, of these living creatures here, and the beasts are what can bring the plagues, winds, hurricanes, volcanoes, the waves roaring, mountains of fire. You can get algae that has turned the oceans and lakes and rivers to red. There's just so much here that he keeps showing me that's it's melting my mind. So I think so far you can go for yourself. So you'll rule with a rod of iron. That's the hands on the clock, okay, and the double-edged sword, and the golden girdle, which is around here that separates, that's division between the light and the day, dark and night. And so what I'm going to do now, and then you have 2:18, Revelation 2:18. The eyes are like the flame of fire, which this is sardis and this is carbuncle, okay, and the feet of brass, of bronze. These are the feet, the leg that Jesus, if he came down, you would see him. Also with the names of these stones is amazing because the way that I did them, that I read in the Bible and put it the way he said. This says top. That says, that's supposed to be agate, but it is a gate. And there are beryl, that's a beryl, and is that stardust? Like stardust, carbon, all the elements, all these elements, there's only 4 elements that make up, and I found out later, now this is 4 rings. This is 2 golden rings inside, 2 golden rings outside, just like the high priest's breastplate. But what I found out too was that we have 4 layers of the earth too. I mean, I knew that, but when you start seeing, and if you look at the colors of how he has them that he gave me with the tribes, this is how we experience life on earth. So these 2 aren't really the proper colors. I'll show you in the other one. But so as you come up in the morning, you have the redness, and then it gets more clear at the top of the day, and around 11 o'clock, then it's really hot, and then that makes the grass green and the earth and the waters, and then as the sun goes down, then you start seeing clear, and then purples into the evening sunsets and back around, and then at nighttime you have dark colors in the sky also, which I was like, that's a, I mean, I was just drawing what he told me, he showed me. So then this is what he said. Once I finished that one, he said, now I want you to do it again. I want you to do it better, and I want you to do it like this, and I want you to use these colors. So then he had me, I didn't really put the tribes and their stones, but this is their stones, and these are more accurate because I do mess with rocks. So I was like, I've got the ability to search these out and the colors, and then I put them properly with what he said, except for the diamond, and this is turned, okay, where that other one was north and south, this is north. This is actually the way that the temple in Jerusalem sits on the mount, and the way it's positioned. So he said to put it that way. So that changes up some things, but this is exactly that. It just, I hated to write everything on it because it was so beautiful. When I seen it, I was like, wow, that's amazing. But this is exactly how we see the night and the day as it goes, you know, as the world turns and we see everything. But so this is, you know, showing the morning and the evening and the cross and the 5 tents. And now in here, the only thing different I did, a little bit different, was instead of putting the 12 and 12, which this really represents the 12 hours of night, 12 hours a day, instead of doing the 12 and 12, I just did 2. So it would be 12 and 12 is 24 to make a day that turns into, each day that turns into the 4 weeks in a month. And that's what I was talking about. It's like, how do I show that those are candlesticks, those are the churches, the peaks, and it, I went to do something and messed it up, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to keep it like that. But you realize that God has us do things and write things or name things, or we don't even realize that we're doing it. He's doing it. It's his prompt, even if we don't know he's doing it. But this is what, you know, this is how it wound up. And if I do it wrong, then he makes me frustrated and says, do it again. So this is what he was happy with. And then, of course, that's the moons for each new moon. And then that's what inside. And this is a portal. This is, I mean, you're not going to see it exactly like this, but you're going to see it when he comes, that it's a portal. It's everything we've ever seen and all the other stuff. The sun discs with the gates. I saw it with the Sumerians have squares, 4s of square, okay, 4 layers of square. And then if you look at the bottom, there is a hole, like going down. The temples and Da Vinci and everything is all connected. All of it, everything that we've ever wanted to know is all being shown here. This was written 2,000 years plus, actually, because Ezekiel, I can't, like, just trying to teach the basics is very complicated, but it also, you can go to the King James Bible online, and there's Ezekiel, and it talks about, and as for their appearance, they had 4 had one likeness, as if a wheel had been in the midst of a wheel. And when I looked up, behold, the 4 wheels by the cherubims, one wheel by one cherubim, and the other wheel by another. And the appearance of the wheels was as the color of beryl stone. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl. And they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And palms, oh my God, make them like a wheel as a stubborn before the wind, A wise king scattereth the wicked and bringeth the wheel over them. And then there's Isaiah. And there was Daniel to his vision. And now I beheld the living creatures. Behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with its four faces. And over the silver cord to be loosed, or the golden bowl to be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the foundation, or the wheel be broken at the cistern. But there's over and over and over again. And there's also, let's see, Daniel 9:24 talks about the 70th weeks. Daniel 7, the vision of the beasts and the horns with the 7 heads. You have Zechariah 4, chapter 4:2, vision of a lampstand with 7 lamps representing the eyes of the Lord. Isaiah 30, verse 26, the light of the sun will be 7 times brighter. So then we have of course, the 4 living creatures, Revelation chapter 4, 6 through 8, the 4 angels, Revelation 7:1, the 4 winds of heaven, that's Daniel 7, chapter 7, verse 2, Daniel 8, verse 8, Zechariah chapter 6, verse 5, the 4 chariots and spirits, Zechariah 6, 1 through 8, the 4 beasts of Daniel's vision, Daniel 7, 3 through 7. And then we have the mentions of wings, and that's Daniel chapter 7, 4, a lion with eagle's wings. Daniel 7, verse 6, a leopard with 4 wings. Ezekiel 1, chapter 1, verse 6, and 1, verse 11, cherubim with 4 wings, part of God's throne vision. Ezekiel 10 repeats wing imagery in divine chariot and judgment scenes. Revelation 4:8, the 4 living creatures. Revelation 12, verse 14, the woman Israel is given 2 wings of a great eagle to escape into the wilderness and tribulation. Isaiah chapter 6, verse 2, the seraphim with 6 wings used for worship and service. Isaiah 40, verse 31, they will soar on wings like an eagle. Jeremiah 49:22, he shall come up and fly as an eagle and spread his wings over Basra. And then wind and whirlwind and sound and clouds. So wind and prophecy, Jeremiah 49:36, I will bring the 4 winds against Elam. Then you've got Revelation 7:1 again, 4 angels holding back the 4 winds of the earth. Daniel 7:2, I think we did that. Job 38:1, then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind. Isaiah 66:15, the Lord will come with fire, his chariots are like a whirlwind. Ezekiel 1:4, a whirlwind came from the north, a great cloud with fire. And then also the throne of God, a throne room of God in Revelation 4, okay? Then you have the scroll and the lamb in Revelation 5, which that was one thing that when he first came to me in 2017, that I saw the clock as a scroll before I understood the beasts. But I thought the beasts at that time was the constellations that was surrounding above this. But that's what helped me start seeing what he was showing me. And then you also have the temple of God in heaven, which is Revelation 11, chapter 11, 19, and then chapter 15 and 5. The temple of God was opened in heaven, and the ark of his covenant was seen. And then the heavenly sanctuary of worship, which is Revelation chapter 7, 9 through 17, where multitudes worship before the throne of the Lamb. Then you have the New Jerusalem in Revelation 21 and 22. You have the covered tent of the tabernacle, the tent, Hebrew ol is mentioned a double times in Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. It refers to the outer covering of the tabernacle made of goat hair, ram skin, dyed red, and badger skin. That's Exodus 26, verses 7 through 14. The tent served as a protective layer over the sanctuary. And it also says that God tabernacling with us, which that's what God said to me when he came so long, that he was tabernacling. And I didn't understand tabernacling with me, because I thought we'd be tabernacling at the end of time when he came. But he says, I've been tabernacling with you. So when I looked up the word tabernacle, that's what he told me. Go look up the word tabernacling. Like, well, I know what a tabernacling is, but he goes, I want you to go look up the word. So I looked it up. And in Hebrew Romanized, it actually says Miskain. My last name is Miska, which I didn't think at the time that I was really believing. But he had also told me that when I was reading Acts 2:41, I think it was, it said something about 3,000 days was added. And then he told me to add 50 to it. I'm like, well, what's 50? And he says, go look it up. And I'm like, well, I don't know where 50 is coming from. And it was something about Pentecost. It was 50 days afterwards. So I went and looked it up. He said, go ahead and add 3,000 to the 50. So that'd be 3,050 days. He says, subtract 3,050 days from today, which was October the 9th of 2025. And then when I used the calendar, time and date calendar, and subtracted 3,050 days, it took it back to June 3rd, 2017. Well, when I showed you earlier, it was showing 7/9/2017, but he had come to me. He had stayed then about 40 days, but I didn't know it was him. I really didn't. I knew I was being prompted, but I didn't know it was Jesus. I didn't know. I just didn't trust myself that I was, really hearing from my Lord, even though I was seeing the things. And then he said, I came to you then. It's been 8 years. You were 50 years old. And he said, because when I come this time, I needed you to know that it was true and it was me, and you would do as I asked. So he proved it to me then. And then there was a third one that he proved to me, and I can show you all the stuff where I've been doing my studies, and he tells me that too. But anyway, so God tabernacling with us, the concept of God dwelling tabernacle with humanity appears a dozen times across Scripture, both literally and symbolically. But it says the word tabernacle itself is mentioned at least 320 times in the Bible. Exodus 25:8, let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. John 1:14, the word became flesh and dwelt, tabernacled among us. Revelation 21:3, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. And then we have supper or sup. So it's Luke 22:20, the Last Supper, initiating the new covenant. Revelation 19, verse 9, blessed are those who are invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Revelation 3:20, if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and sup with him. So I'm going to show you this. Okay, so this was October the 9th, 2025. And I just did some quick searches on some numbers. But it was Acts 2:41. And those who accepted his message were baptized. and about 3,000 were added to their number that day. And then that's when he told me to go look. The 50 days after he descended the disciples, the Holy Spirit came. And then, so 3,050 days back was June 3rd, 2017. And that was the first time the Lord visited me and began to show me the throne of God. And I showed you the documents and the printouts, and I have more that I just didn't show you that I had wrote down back then and printed off computers, so it had the date. So there's not like I wrote it on those because it printed out. And then, so that's where I used the date calculator to add or subtract from a date. And that was Thursday, October the 9th, and it subtracted and took me to that. And then when he was confirming to me about my name, let's see, okay, so then when he had told me that day to go look that I'm tabernacling with you, according to the Hebrew Bible, the tabernacle, Hebrew Romanized, Miskin, that's my name without the N. All right. Residence, he was in my residence, dwelling place, also known as the tent of the congregation, tent of meeting, was a portable earthly dwelling of God used by the Israelites from the Exodus until the conquest. But apparently he's here now too. So also he was showing me that this is a portal. This is how we're going to be going home with him. And the other things so in the tabernacle, God's dwelling place, heaven and earth connection is served as a point of contact between heaven and earth where the glory of God could be seen in the physical world. All right, the structure and its furnishings, like the altar of sacrifice, the lampstand, the Ark of Covenant, were rich with symbolic meanings pointing to God's holiness, provision, and path to redemption. But also the outer court, an open area with an altar for sacrifices and a basin for the ceremonial washing. And so the way that this sets up, that this is the Holy of Holies, and then you have where the tent was, and then when you came down out, there was the sacrifice, the bowls of I don't know everything, but I was trying to learn about this stuff because I'm like, why this is, I don't know if this is right. But also the 7 days with the dots. Okay, I had them broke them up in the other one that had dots here, and that was like the menorah of the 7 lights, the 7 candlesticks. But it's called the Holy of Holies. That's a Holy of Holies there. It's a hole. It's a hole. It's a one, like a hole. Anyways, but I was telling you about Solomon's Colonnade, and then that was, and that's what he says too, that this one is for the Jews. The other one is for the basic, showing people what God has shown me, but he wants his people to come to him. He's calling for his sheep. The time is getting soon. And he said that people that have God in them will see this. Those that do not have God in them will not see this. And he says that let them be evil. Let them... He gave me some stuff to say, and I don't even like to, do that division, but he said, you can't convince somebody otherwise that if it's in their heart, I'm in their heart. If I'm not, I'm not. But for those that haven't said no to God, this is to prove to them as a sign, and to the Jews a sign that Jesus is their Messiah. This was written because they don't even have the book of Revelation in the Tanakh. Only we, the Christians, have this one, but they do have Daniel, and he said that this will make them see this was meant for them. They'll know what it means. So we just, we pray that they see, and that, because that's who his special people are. That's his chosen people, the Jews. And so we just pray that, they see God in this. You know what I mean? And So there's a lot more things that I could share. Everything is just like melting my mind, all of the information and all the places that it's woven into the entire Bible all over. But here is some of the things that you can see, because he did come to me and I started doing it early and writing it down, all the things, so I could try to show people and help them understand, because I'm just not a teacher. I was a truck driver for 32 years, raised my kids. And these are just things that take a snapshot and slow it down, pause it, and so that you can do your references. And I'm going to bring more into, because now that I've at least be able to get this, I can now start looking into the other books of the Bible, but I couldn't even begin. But like I said, he told me he has been to every single, from the beginning of time, he has been to every single culture on our planet, showing them the same things. And yes, things happened, and then he shows it, and then things happen again, like renewal, and everybody that we can't find on our planet, they followed him. They went with him when he came. When he showed up, they went. That's why we can't find them. That's why we know they've been here. We've seen they've been here. They had houses, they had tools, they had all these things, they were doing things, and then no evidence of where they are. Well, we know where they are. He took them. They believed and they got to go. And then other people got left behind, unfortunately. And it's a personal decision. And no one's going to make you. But that's your decision only. That's God's free will. And I just hope there's a blessing on everybody. And he wants you to look and seek for him. And I'm giving you scriptures for those that know the Bible. They'll know that this is all biblically and scripturally sound. And then it doesn't change anything of the spiritual aspect and what he did and all the things. But now when you read things, you might be able to see this other underlying layer that he's been showing and pointing the way all along that we never saw before. And then this is our hope for those that have gone this long and this far, and we think that it's not time, that he's never going to come. Oh, he's telling us right now. It was there all along, and we just, but he had it covered. So it's not like we didn't see it. He covered it, just like it said in Daniel, to seal it up for the end time. And now we're in that. So now our job, this is to bring as many to the Lord as possible before he comes. It is our jobs to share the gospel of Jesus Christ to everyone we can. The churches need to straighten themselves up, get right. No more playing games, flip-flopping, pretending. God knows everything in our hearts, everything in our minds, and you get to choose where you're going to be on Judgment Day. It's up to you. Amen. God bless, and he's coming. Maranatha. Amen.